Very cool. Very cool. Well, setting that aside just for a moment, I want to come back to the topic of products, and skip down or skip ahead quickly, to tie it back in though to something. Are there product types that reliably do better than others? Some that may be more or less risky.
Adventures typically aren't. I mean, they're very specific, and they need to have a very specific brand or tone to them to do well. Usually, people look at a product and be, what can I use in this? For D&D specifically, there's a lot of what creature, location, story, or character can I create? And those are usually the big things. And a distinctive art style really helps with that.
Okay.
The populace is a liar. Every single poll I have ever read, people say, I love to buy adventures, and they sell
really?
1/10 as well as everything else.
What?
Emily had sent in her answers to this question in advance, and she said the same thing. She said adventures sell poorly, while DM supplements sell very well.
So what's going on there? Like, what?
One of the top-selling products is literally a list of roll tables. I am baffled by it.
Yeah.
I have a product that is, I think, a gold bestseller, meaning it sold over 1,500 copies, that is just 100 greetings for NPCs to tell the party. Because DMs want to know what the hell to do when they have 5, 6, 11 people sitting at this table waiting for them to run a game. Like, you'll pay $5 if you don't have to think up an NPC name, what they look like, what they say. But adventures hold too many hands. They're too cumbersome to utilize in different ways. Yes, you can strip them apart for parts and use them all over the place, but people have 30 years of that with Dungeons & Dragons already. There are publications that go all the way back to the 80s that they can still steal from. They want things tailored to make the DM's life just a micron easier when they're running this game.
Can you just quickly, sorry, can you do like a quick outline of what the differences are there? Like, what is an adventure compared to some of this DM supplemental material?
For those of you that don't know specifically, an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons says the party, your group of players, will get together and they will attempt to stop this dragon, for instance. The party is set in this place. It's set in Vasselheim. It is going to stop a dragon. The dragon wants to awaken a dragon god. And then the adventure will take you from point to point throughout that, like an outline that you would see in school for a novel. Point to point, just like a novel, with branching little narratives depending on how the party does and where the party goes. But a DM supplement would say, here is a dragon god. Here are its stats. Here's what it wants. Here's the people that would worship it. Here is the dragon that worships it, you know. So it gives you the pieces without all the interconnective tissue, whereas an adventure has all that interconnected tissue and goes point A, point B, point C. Even the greatest sandboxes in the world go point A, point B, point C. Because it's the only way that you can possibly outline it without 40,000 pages. But when you get rid of all that interconnectivity, you don't need 40,000 pages. You need 25 good pages. And every person running the game can just open up to that page and they have this resource, this raw material that they can shape to fit their story. That's the big difference between a DM supplement and an adventure.
Okay.
So I know some of the people that are watching this, either live or recorded, are artists who have been doing their world building for like 5 to 10 years. They have their dream project in mind. What advice would you give to people like that may not know exactly what products to make? Maybe they think they want to make one single giant product, or if you would suggest making smaller products along the way, then release them periodically, or what advice would you give to someone like that?
I would say it depends on the financial status. So, like, obviously, if they're looking to kickstart or looking to create an anthology, there's a lot of great other Kickstarters out there in terms of like artists who've made like a book project that they've been working on for years, or small comics that they're turning into a giant one. Scurry is one of them. It's like mouse people. It's like a Rats of Nim almost. But essentially, like, they made multiple. They did a one book, and that was like a good couple hundred pages, and then they did another graphic novel and another graphic novel of like part one, part two, part three, and those were separate projects. It really depends on the organization and what flows nice as a product, but it's something you should definitely think about before you launch anything, or depending on if you've started on it. If you're looking at it, applying it to tabletop, if you have an art project or an art world that you want to bring to tabletop, bring out your setting. It's obviously, if you want to market it towards tabletop people, it's best to, like in this case, if you're looking to bring it to D&D, talk to people in the community who can understand the industry, and one, figure out the best way to present it, because a setting book is good and it can be interesting, but the players need to be able to express themselves in that world, become the characters in that world, and do the cool things that your cool illustrated characters can do. And so there's, like, the player's guide. The setting book is good because it gives broad info, but like the adventures, the dragon god, we want to be able to kill the dragon god, so I want stats for it. I want stats to kill the cultists. And under those, we can have notes about, oh, they're trying to summon the dragon god. Hey, the dragon god's a couple pages later. Ooh, I can make an adventure out of this. So you don't have to tell the story. And if you do have a story written, it can still be converted into a setting, or even like a small setting. There are things that I've produced that are system agnostic, and then we create supplements later that integrate into the various tabletop game systems that exist. I don't know if that's the most successful way of doing it, but it works a little bit for us. But there are very many ways to go about it. But if you want to just go for the biggest fish, you'd create a D&D supplement for your world and maybe do a setting book, a system companion, or even just one book at that point, depending on how much work you want to put into it or have other people contribute.
So earlier,
So
go ahead. No, you go ahead, JB, because I can save this
off
one.
of that. From my reviewer perspective, because I did do that for a substantial portion of my time with tabletop, if I saw a world book with nothing else about it, I would not bite. So there would not be anything there to draw me in or to hook me, even if it looked like a fantastic world book. If there's no surrounding world about it outside of that book, it's not going to interest me very much. But something that's started to happen organically in the world right now for tabletop games specifically is you can look at Swords Fall on Twitter and Kickstarter and everywhere else. Swords Fall began as an idea, and that is the truest sense of Kickstarter when it first started out, is to present these ideas and let people bite themselves. And what they did is they made art, they made short stories, they developed these small little things for people to engage with and build little bit by little bit more and more interest about it. People would see Swords Fall and they would think, wait, what is that, a game? Can I play that? And the game is coming out soonish, because we all know how these products go, right? But the fact that they've gotten so much support and so much buzz up until now without even having a game means that they're doing something right. So if you have a setting and you release a novel about it, like Name of the Wind, the RPG, it's going to do great. People are going to buy it up. People are going to obsess over it. A Harry Potter RPG, you're gonna hit it right out of the park. As long as J.K. Rowling's not actually involved, you're fine. And that is very sad. I know that we laugh about it, but again, nervous energy. I know a lot of people were really, really hurt about that, but we're here with you. So you have to have something that grabs hold of it before you can build a bigger product. So I would really suggest that if people do have that idea for a setting and they have that idea that they want to manipulate and build, make a Patreon, make a Twitter for it, get some art, build things up. Don't go too quickly, because if you just swing away just to do a huge world book, not a lot of people are going to have much to go off of for that.
Yeah.
So try to start small. I think the small releases, like Moose was saying, a few small releases and then a big one will probably be your best bet for that sort of thing.
You're starting to build
Smaller content bites.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of artists I see, like they'll show whip, like, oh, here is this world I'm building based on this, you know, and then they'll show whip art of all the characters. They'll show color art of the characters. They'll, you know, it's just showing off what they're building, and in that, you know, you build interest. And especially if you're an artist, like that's even better because you know the artist communities can be fairly large and supportive when you're showing off, you know, cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to be part of that community too. You have to engage with other people's creations and support them as well. Like you can't just be the solo person. Like, why is nobody liking my stuff? Like you got to engage with the worlds there.
Thanks for listening to this clip. You can see the full interview by clicking the link in the description, or you can click the thumbnail on the bottom left of this video. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a great day.